I told y'all the stream was gonna look better. I told y'all the stream was gonna look better. Look at that. Look at how good this looks. Shout out to Aaron Molnar for the overlays. Oh, this shit looks so good. Oh, it looks so good. This is just another episode of Sessions, just in a live format. And today, we're gonna be talking about Vince Staples' self-titled album, Vince Staples. And yeah, I'm super excited to be talking about this. This is one of my favorite albums so far of the year. It is, bar none, yeah, actually, and it's kind of hard to say why. It's just the only album so far that's kind of stuck with me, because everything else so far, it's contested with "Call Me If You Get Lost" by Tyler the Creator, which is great as well. But yeah, so far this is the most solid project I guess I could talk about, because it's short, it's concise, and it has a vibe that I can really click with. And it's a vibe that you're gonna see throughout the whole. It's this whole atmosphere that Vince Staples kind of establishes off rip from the first track all the way throughout until the last couple songs where he kind of deviates from that. But overall, it has a really good vibe to it. So, and that's why I really enjoyed it. It's a much more personal project, which is why I'm assuming that's why he made this a self-titled album, because it's a much more personal project for him. A much more he goes more into his personal stories, his much more personal fears and experiences and thoughts and all this stuff, and it's really cool. I really liked it. I really like it when artists get personal and kind of slow down for a bit, and Vince Staples is not really known for that, which is surprising. He's known for being much more high energy, much more charismatic. He's a very loud and just high energy artist, and having this kind of much more mellower project, it was great. It was a welcome change, I'll be honest. Yeah, such a good 20-minute listen, definitely. It's super short as well. It's only 10 tracks, and even then each track is like 2 minutes. They don't overstay the welcome, which is really good, and something more artists need to do. I would much more prefer shorter albums and projects and EPs rather than 20-30 minute song albums, because it's just, people only have so much attention span. That's why I've always gravitated more towards EPs and mixtapes. Not mixtapes. Mixtapes are pretty long, but EPs, because it's like 5 to 8 songs, and it's the best. It's just so much more focused. Not the best. It's so much more focused in terms of what you're listening to, and here it makes it all the songs much more memorable. For instance, in a 20-song album, for example, You See For Yourself by IDK, a lot of those songs are not memorable to me. Half of them were, I think, not half of them, but about a third or fourth of them were skits or transitions that were 30 seconds, and even then, it's like you're just wasting space at that point. Here, he wastes no space. Every track serves its purpose, aside from a couple that are kind of forgettable and kind of skippable, but if you're making a shorter project, it makes it easier for you to kind of digest and go through and enjoy. And that's something I really liked about that too. What more can I say, man? It's a fucking good album. So let's get into it. Let's go track by track. Talk about this shit. This is so weird to do this in a live setting. I know I'm going to edit this down later, but doing this live is crazy. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. I'm so nervous. This was an idea out of a whim this morning, which is insane. Fuck it. Without further ado, without further pause, without further delay, let's get into it and talk about Vince Staples' self-titled album, project, whatever he wants to call it. All of the tracks, track by track, starting off with Are You With That? Before I really get into, I'm going off more tangents. I kind of did establish, like I said, like this project is a completely different sound, like I previously mentioned, and it's done so well with the first track. It establishes that vibe and that atmosphere so well, because we don't really know Vince Staples for that slower, mellow, almost Isaiah Rashad type sound. Vince Staples kind of transitions into that really well. Sure, there's some high energy here and there in this project, but overall, this project is it's much more slower, and I love it. It's awesome. If I could describe this album with just one word, it's a straight up vibe. That's it. It's a vibe. I love listening to it. And it being short makes it so much more replayable, so much more like on repeat. I could play this thing on repeat. It's so good. Super wavy production. Speaking of the production, yes, one of the things I will highlight, it is its production, which is done by a family favorite, Kenny Beats. I love Kenny Beats. Me and my friends, we look up to him to a degree, to a T. I guess I should say. He's produced so many great songs, and he's so good. He's so entertaining. He's so talented, and yeah, dude, I have one of the biggest achievements that this album makes. It's production. It's production and the beats, and the beats and the production is great. It's so good, and it's all done. I'm pretty sure with a couple of other producers. It's mainly done by Kenny Beats. It's a mainly Kenny Beats and Vince Staples joint, which was great. However, while it is vibey, while it is wavy, while the production is incredible, it's the wordplay that's kind of falls flat. Not falls flat, but it's kind of lesser. And again, Vince Staples has never really been known for his wordplay or his lyricism. He's just been more about giving that energy, giving that charisma, kind of being an entertainer more than a rapper. But yeah, it's just like his wordplay, and it's evident here on Are You With That? So yeah, it starts off with a much more somber, much more slower. Yeah, it has some hi-hats here and there, but it's a slower beat overall. Yeah, the intro track has such a nice bounce to it. It really gives you that introduction, that really great introduction to this project, that it's a much more personal endeavor for Vince Staples. It's so good. And he does a great job establishing that vibe and that atmosphere, like I previously mentioned. However, it's his wordplay that kind of falls flat. It doesn't really complement the beat as much as you want it to. It doesn't really need to. It's this project is mainly aiming for a vibe type thing more than lyricism or anything like that, or wordplay or lyrics and stuff like that. It's still a great track. The first track is great. I loved it. What more can I say, man? It's good. It's just, I don't want to really repeat myself a lot, but you're gonna see it over and over. But the wordplay the verses aren't as strong as the beats, if you know what I mean. But yeah, overall, the first track, Are You With That, is a 4 out of 5 for me. It's good. It's solid. But it doesn't impress, and that's something you're going to see throughout, and it's going to carry over to the next track, Law of Averages. And here it's a Law of Averages is a much more unique song, I'll be honest, because it focuses much more on its sound rather than anything else. It has such a unique sound, such a unique production behind it, and this was the only single I heard prior to the release of the project. And usually singles are meant to kind of get you more excited for the project, kind of get you hyped up for it. But for me personally, I didn't really do that, honestly. It was fine for the most part. It was fine. It just didn't really impress me. It didn't get me excited for. It wasn't that hype factor. Like, what are some good singles that have come out? Interlude by J. Cole. It got me really excited for the off season. Too bad the off season wasn't that good. And Lumberjack by Tyler Creator, that got me excited for the album, but this didn't really get me excited for Vince Staples' album. It might be because I'm not a huge fan of Vince Staples. I've appreciated him as an artist, but I've never been like a huge fan for him. But yeah, it does a great job with having a unique sound. It's backed up, the beat is backed up with these super unique and really cool vocals all throughout, and Vince has this really cool lazy flow, this Zay type flow that he uses here, and it works perfectly with the beat that is on the song. The flow really goes well with the beat, and but again, it doesn't really do anything too much to impress. It's a fine song. It's all right. It doesn't do anything too crazy, nothing too impressive, and yeah, it's very much an okay track. I'll be honest. It doesn't do too much wrong, but it doesn't do anything too impressive at the same time. So I'd give it a 3 out of 5. Again, singles are meant to get you excited, but I wasn't excited. I was like, oh, cool, whatever. It's another track for me to sift through while I go through the Friday releases. But yeah, that's fine. Moving on, the next song is Sundown Town. Here is where we get a more impressive use of sound and wordplay that was missing from the last track. And honestly, you're gonna see that a lot. I want to mention it later, but you see the ideas established from one track, and then you're like, it's fine. But then the next track, they try to do the exact same thing, and it works so much better. I don't really know how to describe it, but I think it's this is my theory. It's a thematic thing that I've never really done this on sessions where I fucking have theories about why albums are how they are. I never had dissections and stuff like that. I'm not Cole Kushner from Dissect, but I feel like that's a way of Vince. I want to sound stupid by saying it, but I'm gonna just say it. I think that's a way of Vince showing his, because this is a much more personal album. It's him growing as an artist, as a person, as whoever he is that while ideas don't hit in the last song, they hit in the next one. And whenever he tries to do something new on this album, it definitely hits in the next track. So like I said in the last song, it's trying to mix these the super unique sound with his lazy flow and stuff like that. And it didn't really work in the last song. Here, it works perfectly. It's bouncy, it's vibey with a beat that sounds so good that sorry, I was reading the chat. They're all really connected. Yeah, it kind of feels that way because yeah, in Law of Averages it has that same sound, but it doesn't really work for me. In this song, it works. It really does work. It's vibey, it's bouncy with a beat that sounds so good, that's backed up with these super unique vocals that really do complement the more prominent hi-hats. Yeah, we're getting technical up in this bitch. I know fucking terms, alright, bitches? Alright? But yeah. And Vince's flow and his verses fit so much more better here, with both of these aspects making for an overall great track. And it's super, and it sounds much more well executed. It's executed much better on this track than it was in the last one. Absolutely, without question. And yeah, overall, I like this track way more. It's one of the better tracks on the project. And oh, one thing I haven't mentioned so far, a thing that Vince does, I guess Kenny Beats too, is instead of using your typical chorus, instead of having like the chorus that repeats 2 times or whatever, they let the beat play out, which is a personal favorite thing that I love to do. Even in my own music, I love doing it. Is not having your normal chorus that's like 2 lines repeated. It's just letting the beat play out and let the beat do the talking. I love that shit. That shit goes so hard, and they do that here and in a couple other songs I don't really remember, but they definitely do it here, and that's where I liked it the most here, where they don't have their typical choruses. It's just letting the beat ride out and then transition to the next verse. It's so good. It sounds so good, and I love it. It's the best. So yeah, track's fire. Sun Downtown is fire. It's definitely a 5 out of 5 for me so far. There aren't many weak tracks. Most of the tracks are pretty good to great, and there's only 2 tracks that are like, oh shit, oh shit. And yeah, we're gonna get to that soon. So up next, we're gonna be talking about The Shining, not the movie, the song. Bad jokes up in here. All right. So what I thought at first was one of the more forgettable and skippable tracks on the project, it quickly grew on me. Especially the first verse. I like the little flow switch he has in the first verse. I should have written it down so I could kind of show you that. Man, I wish I could play fucking music on Twitch. I swear. Anywhere. Come on, man. Those white men taking all the money. But yeah, it grew on me, without question. However, even with it growing with me, a bit more over time, I still do consider the track one of the weaker ones on the project. Not the weakest, but one of the weaker ones, for sure. The beat is pretty fine. The verses are weak, aside from that flow switch that sounded pretty good. And the chorus is okay. Like, overall, it's a solid track. It's just nothing too crazy. They're trying to do a mix of this high energy that's Vince is known for, with the much more mellower beats that we've been hearing so far, and kind of energetic vibe type deal. And it's hard, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe music because I can't listen to it. It's so weird. I wish I could show it to y'all, but I don't know. That kind of mix that they were going for just didn't work for me personally. Overall, everything was pretty okay. The beat was okay. The verses were okay. It was all okay. Yeah, so it's not a terrible song. It's just okay. So I'd give it a 3 out of 5. not really much more for me to dissect or say, so. But it's okay, because the next song is one of my favorites, Taking Trips. So off rip, the first time I listened to this album, off rip, immediately, it was one of my personal favorites without question. While in the last track, like I said, this is, again, going on top of my theory, the last track that tried to do a mix of this energetic with the slower type beat, but it didn't really work. Here, it works so good, y'all. It works so good and hits so well with a great, like, West Coast, like Omar said earlier, a Long Beach style beat that Vince Staples has always been known for and that I love. It's a sound that always takes me back to car meets I used to go to as a kid. I love it, and it's also backed up with the best flow Vince has had so far on this project, and probably overall, I've only really listened to FM, his last project. Overall, I've only listened to FM really and those standalone singles. Other than that, I didn't really listen to any of his other music, but this has to be some of the best verses I've heard from Vince. Oh, aside from the fucking Cave episode with Kenny B's, but you know. But yeah, honestly, this is one of my favorite tracks on the without question. One of my favorite tracks. It has such an addictive amount of bounce, both like it's bouncy in both the beat and the flow, which is such a hard thing to do to try to match your flow with a beat. You think it's easy? It's not that easy. It's pretty hard. And it's catchy too, which, oh man, it's just so good. It's such a good track. Yeah, listen to it. Like, for real, just listen to it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Just listen to it. Like, it's a 5 out of 5 for sure. Probably a 6, I'll be honest. But yeah, it's such a good track, I'll be honest, man. It's such a good track. And then moving on, we got The Apple and the Tree. So this is one of the 2 skits that are on the project, which kind of sucks because there are only 10 songs. So yeah, but it's fine because usually skits or interludes are a hit or miss for me. This one in particular, The Apple and the Tree, later we'll talk about Lakewood Mall, reminded me of Tyler's mom. The way his mom was talking. This is mainly just Vince's mom, I guess, talking about a story about her lying on the stand for his dad or something like that. I forgot. I didn't really get into it, but the skits here mainly, I love the skits. Mainly this one. The other one, not too much. It's all right, but this one is pretty good. Yeah, sure, it's just her on a phone call talking about this whole story that she went through. But it's backed up with a much more slower, much more mellow beat that's going to be played in the next song. And I love it. It's such a good tone setter for what this album is. It kind of does put you in the world of what this album should be. Like I said, it's a much more personal project. And dude, yeah, exactly. The instrumental backing it is so good. I love it. I wish it was its own song because it sounds so good. And it's such a good interpolation of what we're going to hear in the next track, which is great. It's like a little sneak peek that you get. It's so fucking good. And it does such a good job establishing that vibe, establishing that atmosphere and that vibe that you get and that you're going to get throughout this whole album, more or less. But it sounds great. I loved it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I highly recommend it. I can't really recommend a skit because nothing really much happens, but yeah. And I might as well talk about Lakewood Mall, which is the skit that plays after the next song. And nothing really too impressive. Again, it's just Vince kind of telling a story about what happened when he was younger, about a gun and all this stuff. And it wasn't too interesting for me. And also the beat, that's the instrumental that's playing in the back, didn't really impress me as much as Apple and the Tree. But again, these are meant to be tone setters, meant to be setting up this atmosphere. This is Vince's world. We're stepping into the shoes of Vince Staples because this is a much more personal album, which him talking about his fears, his stories, his childhood, all this stuff, that it's the best. And it hits so much harder once you hear the next track, which is another one of my fucking favorites. Take Me Home is quite possibly the best song on this project. I love Take Me Home. It's just a banger of a track. It's so It's so for a while it was like a tie between Taking Trips and Take Me Home, but bro, oh my god, the beat is so good. It starts off so good, and this has to be some of the best wordplay and best verses that I've heard from Vince. Period. Honestly, and it's so hard. Depending on the day, it's either Taking Trips or Take Me Home. But these are always gonna be songs I can never skip. These are always songs that I always play on repeat because they're so good, man. Honestly, there's not much more for me to say. It's just a straight up banger track. It's so good. It has a great beat, a great verse, a great chorus, a beautiful chorus. By I think the artist, their name was Fouché. I forgot, but I liked it more or less. It's probably the weaker part of the song, but it still sounds so beautiful. It sounds so good, especially the outro that they do. They do this such a beautiful outro, which is executed so much more better than the chorus. But even then, the chorus is really good. The chorus is so good. It's so good, and I mean, like, it's just the weakest part of the. It's hard to say. It's hard to be negative about the. It's hard to be. How do I say this? It's hard to be like positive about the worst part of a song, but even then, dude, it's good. It's just good. It's straight up. Like I don't know, man. There's not much more for me to say. It's just a banger. It's just a banger. Just listen to it. Just listen to it. Like without question, it's like a 6 out of 5 for me. Like without question. Like come on. There's no question or discussion here. It's really good. Again, the chorus could be better, but the beat, oh my god, what a beat, man. What a beat. What a beat. Back to the topic at hand. Little Fade is very much a song I'm super mixed on. Similar to The Shining, it's good but not great. It does nothing remarkable, but it also doesn't do anything bad. It's very much in the middle. It's a very okay song. Like it's probably the weakest one in the project. Period. It's probably the weakest on the one in the project. I don't know. It's so okay. It's honestly a polar opposite from Take Me Home, where Take Me Home, it's so good. I can't really say anything more about it. This one is so okay. There's nothing remarkable, nothing to say here. It's honestly just fine. Like it's the most unremarkable, forgettable song, but it's not bad though. It's hard to really describe this and really critique this song because it's kind of just a shrug of a song. It's fine, but I don't have anything remarkable to say about the beat, about the verses. It's just fine. It's just fine, y'all. Just listen to it. Get your own thoughts. Honestly, it's fine. I don't know. Reminds me of old Vince lyrically. I bet. I don't know. It was just fine. Not really. I gave it a 2 out of 5. It's the weakest song on the project for me. Just because it's a song I'll always skip without question. And then finally, the last track on the album. Hopefully this isn't too long. Oh, we're just 40 minutes. Oh, we're fine. We're just 30 minutes in. The last track on Vince Staples. So this was a confusing track for me, I'll be honest. Talking about it with friends, it was kind of weird because this serves as the project's outro, and I'm very picky about outros. I feel like outros are the most important part of an album. That and intros and outros are the more important parts of a project because it's what gets you in and it's what closes out your project. And honestly, this is a bad outro. I'm gonna be honest. It goes for more an energetic type feel. It literally sounds like a song straight from FM, which was really confusing because we spent a whole project, almost 20 minutes, establishing this vibe, establishing this sound of being, establishing this atmosphere of being much more vibey, much more bouncy, much more slower, much more somber, much more personal. And here it's just straight up energy, and it's like, what? Wait. Hold on a second. What is this? What are you doing? What are we doing here? Like, it's just super jarring. It's not a bad, I'll be straight up. It's not a bad song. It's a good song. It's a fine song. But it just doesn't fit here. Like, straight up. It just doesn't fit here. And it leaves a sour taste in my mouth because of that. It's a good song. It would have been a great song anywhere else. but here it's just like, what is it doing here? It's just, it feels like something that was misplaced. I'll be honest. Like, it's just, I don't know. It felt super rushed. There was no build up to it. If the fucking low fade was much more higher energy, which it kind of picked up a little bit of energy, but not that much. Here, it's a complete departure from what this whole album establishes. And I don't know, it just served as a bad outro for me, honestly. I feel like outros are super important to kind of close out this whole project, and it just was like, oh, this is just another song. This is another song I could hear anywhere else, and another song that you could have put anywhere else on the track list. And I guess maybe Vince Staples didn't really think much about track lists. I'm super picky about track lists and what goes where, and I think that's a super important part of how your album is, how the thought process of how you're listening to it and how thematically everything fits together and all this stuff. I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy, maybe I'm just picky, maybe I'm just a fucking nerd that reads into everything too much, but honestly, it's a good song, but just didn't fit here. Like, I felt like if this song switched spots with Take Me Home would have been such an incredible outro. It would have been so good, and it would have made so much sense. Because since this is a much more personal album, Take Me Home is all about him and his experiences, and that outro is just, oh my god, that would have been such a good outro. But no, we get this high energy song that we could have gotten on any other album, EP, or whatever, or even it could have just been a single, honestly. It could have been one of the singles that we heard from like last year or a year and a half ago. But the pace, this is such a drastic, weird change of pace that I didn't like. It was overall a fine song, but it just left a sour taste in my mouth that it just didn't fit where it was. So I'd give it a 3 out of 5. It's fine. It's fine. So let's give our last thoughts. Overall, this was a solid project. Overall, I really enjoyed it. It wasn't perfect. Absolutely wasn't perfect. It definitely had its misses towards the end. I did not really like Lil Fade, and had its it just didn't fit at all. So if you just skip those last 3 tracks, like even the skit, skip the skit. Just listen. Are You With That all the way to fucking Take Me Home. Perfect project right there. But that's not the case. But here, I really liked the whole atmosphere that Vince Staples was going for, the whole vibe, the whole kind of sound that he was going for. I really liked it, and I really wanted him to commit to it. And if he did, this could have been a fucking banger of a project. Even though it's 10 songs, it would have been so good. With a little bit of tweaking, with a little bit of refinement here and there, it could have been such an incredible project. But even then, it's a solid project. It's great. It's had so many good songs. Take Me Home and Taking Trips are my personal favorites. Again, the weaker ones were The Shining and Lil Fade. Lil Fade is the weakest by far, and just didn't fit thematically and sonically with the whole entire album. It just didn't fit. But overall, I'd give the project like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. It was good. It was great. It was good. I wouldn't say it's it's kind of hard. Yeah, it's great. It's fucking great. It could have been amazing, but it's great overall. I'll give it an 8. Aside from that drastic tone switch, it does give some great vibes, some great sounds, and I loved it. It was fire. It was fire. What are you talking about? It was so good. And it was definitely something I was not expecting from Vince Staples. He's such a much more high energy, charismatic dude that I wasn't expecting something more somber, something much more personal. So it was good to get this different sound from him that I really enjoyed personally. It was good. I fucking loved it. It was great. Yeah, I love seeing artists. It's hard to see artists do different directions because sometimes it doesn't really work. We've seen it from Kanye West. We've seen it from Logic. We've seen it from J. Cole. If they go different directions, sometimes it just doesn't work. But sometimes it does. Kendrick Lamar went different directions. Childish Gambino went different directions, and he made some great fucking stuff. But yeah, overall, I liked it. It was so good. But yeah, overall, great project. I highly recommend it. It's not that long. It's only like 25 minutes. So go listen to it. It's incredible. Let me know what y'all thought. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, give me your own grade. Give me your recommendations on what you want me to review next. Let me know if this is a form of content you'd like, a live setting. Again, this is the edited version. If you're on YouTube, this is the edited version. But feel free to come by and watch it here on twitch.tv/arnotg, where we do it live and we have more people to converse and have a conversation, and it's fun. This was fun. This is the first time we did this and it's fun. I liked it. It was so much fun. But yeah, let me know if you want this, if you want me to go back to the old school album reviews or do more playlist picks type stuff. Let me know what you guys want. I like making stuff, so I'll make stuff for you. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Check out the Twitch, check out the Patreon, check out the Discord, check out the YouTubes, check out the second channel, check out all the stuff, man, and check out more of this fucking nerd talking about hip-hop and video games. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love y'all.